Story 1. Did any of you all have those awesome block parties as kids? All of our neighbors would gather and we'd eat so much food while the adults would drink. Everyone had a good time. Bring those back. Story 2. Just the joy that shopping at the mall brought. Half the restaurants and stores in my mall are closed, and you slightly fear being robbed or shot every time you go. Story 3. Low-key, I miss the flip phones. There was something so satisfying about snapping them shut after a call. Plus, it felt like we had more face-to-face interaction without being glued to screens. Story 4. The 1990s trend of covering yourself head to toe in glitter for a night out. Body glitter, glitter hairspray, roll-on glitter for your face. I absolutely loved going out like a human disco ball. Story 5. Politeness. Respect for older people. Reading books and interest in actual past events without politicization. Honesty. Integrity. Wearing trousers in such a way that all of your backside is covered by the trousers, and I don't need to see your worn underwear. Story 6. People hanging out again outside the house. When I was younger, there were no phones, so you had designated spots you knew everyone would be. The local gas station, the mall, the pizza place, the cul-de-sac, and so on. And you all formed a plan of what to do that night. Getting outside, living in the moment, being with people, making memories. Story 7. I would love to see vinyl records make a full comeback. There is something special about the sound quality and the whole ritual of playing them. Plus, album art looks awesome on those big covers. It feels more personal than just streaming music. Story 8. That period during the first half of the 2010s when people didn't have an obsession with labels and identity politics didn't define absolutely every element of discourse. You could even argue we have become less egalitarian because we are more obsessed with defining an individual and their worth by immutable characteristics, such as race, gender, and sexual orientation. Story 9. Formal mourning periods and wearing black, tokens, or mourning jewelry help people recognize the need to be gentle and respectful with what you're going through. I don't know, but a couple of days of compassionate leave don't quite suffice, if you even have that. Story 10. Me being genuinely happy and not feeling like I want to jump off a cliff. I'm not going to because I have too much anxiety that something will go wrong, and also my mom. She has buried 3 sons and a husband. I can't do that to her. Story 11. People caring about public health and accommodating and protecting disabled people. The understanding that catching a disease is actually bad. The early days of the pandemic weren't fun for anyone, but where we are now with rampant COVID-19 is much worse. Story 12. Parents who actually teach their kids how to behave and hold them accountable. Also, letting them fail so they can handle failing and get the lesson that comes with failure. Then, maybe they won't quit anything that's a tiny bit difficult. Story 13. It's the early internet culture. Not super early like FidoNet or something similar, but internet culture that existed before Facebook. I think the main positive thing was that I was 20 years old. In those days, the internet was free, anonymous, and fun. It was a place for young and clever people. Some forums had warm communities with their own language and memes. Now, technology can identify you, jokes must be polite, and I'm not 20 anymore. And that is sad. Story 14. People minding their own business in public. Real life isn't social media. Your likes on social media comments don't translate to you knowing what you're talking about. Stay in your lane. Story 15. People being chill, open, and friendly. Neighbors being cool people who come over to relax or work on projects together. Knowing most of the families in the neighborhood. Friendly neighborhood cookouts. Story 16. Just general respect for differences of opinion. Now everything feels like a if you're not with us, you're against us vibe. And I'm so tired of it. I miss being able to disagree with someone but still be treated like a whole person, or even disagreeing on things and being friends. Story 17. I currently have an original microwave and oven that were installed when my house was built in 1987. Everything works perfectly, but because the round thing under the glass dish has worn through the metal, I have to replace the entire unit. Nothing is broken, just worn out. Bummer. Story 18. Bring back a handwritten letter. There's something personal and thoughtful about receiving a letter that someone took the time to write. In the world of instant messaging, It's good to slow down and add a little excitement to stay current. Story 19. Vehicle design. From 1930 to 2000, almost every single vehicle concept, whether it made it to production or not, was unique and beautiful. People's idea of a futuristic car was actually a timeless car that looks beautiful in any era. I feel like vehicle design today can still be pretty but is generally just less interesting. During those years, even mundane grocery getters and commuters had their own swagger. Today's counterpart to those cars all resemble each other, just in slightly different shapes and colors, all sporting unnecessarily complex features and plastics painted chrome. Car design today is always about how to make the user more comfortable and have to do less work. Automatic windows, seats, mirrors, heated and cooled seats, backup camera, lane assist, etc. Just a bunch of nonsensical creature comforts that allow the user to be less precise without putting themselves in danger. It is no longer about creating a visual masterpiece that is also a vital piece of modern transportation. Story 20. Miss when people used to hang out without phones. We would just be present, enjoying the moment and each other's company. Those times felt more genuine and connected. Would love to see that vibe make a comeback. Story 21. Being able to buy a phone. Walking into a store, picking up a phone, looking at it and checking out. I do not want to get a contract. I do not want to spend $1,500 on a piece of plastic with some wires in it. And I am not going to. Story 22. Remember when everything was described as extreme if it was just a bit different, marginally more difficult, or slightly value-added in the late 90s? I kind of missed that. Story 23. I've recently seen some bands do this, and honestly, I wish more did, not allowing phones or flash photography at concerts. I am barely 5 feet tall. I am already struggling to see between heads, but when everyone is lifting their arms to record above everyone else, that window gets covered, and I didn't pay $70 to watch your arm for 5 hours. Story 24. No cell phones at concerts. Take a couple of pictures and a video, then put your phone down. You do not need to record the whole concert. The last concert I went to, I realized I was taking myself out of the moment by trying to record, so I just put my phone away and enjoyed the music. It was amazing. Story 25. Not so much a trend, but I want to go back to the days when scientific journals were really just that. The May 1st, 1884, volume of Nature has a piece written by an observatory just describing how it got weirdly dark outside on April 26th. Story 26. If we're talking about memes, I want the Harlem Shake to come back. It was annoying, but it was fun as well. Every viral video you saw of it, you could see that people were enjoying themselves. Story 27. Companies are creating a culture where people want to stay, not promoting individuals because they are friends or because they don't know what else to do with them. Story 28. I liked the ice bucket challenge. It was harmless fun, people could get creative with it, and it did raise a lot of money and awareness for a good cause. It was basically the perfect internet trend. Story 29. Physical media. I do not like this all-digital era, where I have to wait for things to download to be able to play them, be it movies, television, or games. I just want to buy something, own it, and have access to it immediately without it taking up all my storage, especially for games and television. Story 30. People actually engage with your comment if they don't agree with something and respond with a cogent explanation instead of clicking the down arrow button and running off like sniveling cowards. Story 31. I would love to see the Frutiger arrow style make a comeback, or really anything other than the current minimalist trend integrated into every aspect of our lives. I have never been a fan of it. It's like the life of our world has been drained. I would love to see anything with a touch of character or vibrancy. Story 32. Honestly, the opposite trend to devious licks. When foolish kids would steal things from public buildings, I am also a foolish kid, but I never did this, called angelic yields, where they would place some nonsensical item free in a public space was pretty funny. Story 33. Business hats for men. I'm bald and I live in a country where the sun wants all of us dead. If I need to walk across town to a meeting, I should be able to wear a hat that goes with the suit that I have to wear without looking like an undesirable. Story 34. I went into Hot Topic last week, and boy, was it different. Genuinely, 70% of the store is no different than boxed lunch, anime, or Disney stores. At least they still have band tees, but still. Story 35. Dinner parties. I remember my parents having one like once a month. Their friends would throw card game nights. Us kids would be in one room, already in our pajamas with our sleeping bags, just playing games, G.I. Joes, Barbies, and watching random Disney movies. Then we'd fall asleep, and our parents would get us at like 4 a.m. It was core memories like that I want my kids to experience. Story 36. Kids playing outside, emails instead of long text messages, people in bookstores, busy malls. Sadly, this was once a trend. I know I'm not answering your question, but I hope those things become trends again so I can see them. By the way, I'm 35, so not old, but I wish things could be the way they were before social media. Maybe I should ask a similar question minus the trend word. Story 37. Capitalism is about people competing to provide a better product, not about megacorporations working together to cut costs and increase prices to exploit poor people as much as possible. Story 38. AskReddit questions are posted without glaring grammatical errors. Come on, folks. Take those 2 seconds and read before you hit save. Or stay in school, sheesh. Story 39. Hanging out listening to entire albums of music with friends. No randomized playlists. Good artists write good albums. It's a shame we only get the singles now. Story 40. Racists and homophobes hiding their racism and homophobia in public because it was not socially acceptable. It was a brief period after the passage of marriage equality during the Obama administration when it was uncool to be loudly homophobic or racist. Then there was a huge backlash, and they couldn't keep it in anymore. Story 41. This is niche, but something I've been nostalgic for this week as a 33-year-old. I remember Lucky magazine around the holidays would come with stickers that would say, "Love it," "Like it," etc. And it was so fun to just put them on things I liked. I don't know, it just feels simple. Story 42. Cell phones with user-replaceable batteries. But if we did that, we couldn't make phones as thin. I don't care. They're already too thin to hold comfortably if you don't put them in a case. Every smartphone I've ever replaced was because the battery life got annoyingly bad.